Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the Arts and Wellness. Wellness. Arts and Wellness. Mm. Welcome to the Arts and Wellness Cafe. I'm Amanda and I'm so glad you could join me. If you are not familiar with things that go on here in the Arts and Wellness Cafe, each week we look at a word that we've looked at on Monday in the podcast, and this week the word is eager, and then we kind of look at it a bit more here in the Arts and Wellness Cafe and think about how, in terms of our creativity, what impact that word has on us, or is it something that we need to incorporate or think about in terms of our creative practice. And we also look at an art journal. I think I've got an art journal to show you. I've got several art journals to show you actually. Anyway, I'm not going to promise anything, but we look at an art journal, and with that word today I wanted to kind of just look at a few things, and a few things in the way that I look at them. A few creative things, and it's also looking at the way I work, because the word eager really does kind of, I don't know, it's a word that, am I having a bit of brain fog, because I was sneezing so much yesterday that it was just like I had to get slightly anemic, so I was feeling really cold, and then when I feel cold I start sneezing, and then it's just like, oh gosh, am I getting ill? But anyway, so the word eager permeates through all of the things that I do, because I am quite eager. I'm an eager artist. I love experimenting, I love trying things, and that's really, I guess, what I'm trying to say. I love creating, and so I'm always working on different projects at the same time, and so it is looking at that word and thinking about, how does it sit with you? Would you say that you were an artist, an eager artist, or would you even use that word on yourself? We've been having some rain, so it's the mosquitoes. They love coming in here. It's just like, really, this is my creative space. Oh yes, but we want to join you as well, and have a drink. Anyway, so what's your tipple today? I am drinking. It's orange peel rosemary and, oh gosh, what's that thing called? Bay leaf. Yeah, I've got a little bay leaf tree. I've always wanted to grow bay leaf, so I managed to. I didn't actually get a cutting. I had to buy a plant. I brought a small plant, and it's been growing. And I need to move it from where it is, because you can grow them you can grow them in pots, and they usually, they're the plants that they will cut, different shapes out of. But I want a massive tree, so I'm going to have to move it from the pot that it's in and plant it out into the garden. Oh my gosh, I'm excited, because I'm just imagining this big tree with the bay leaves. And anyway, so the tea is rosemary, which I've been growing, and orange, the rind of an orange, which has been dried, and then a bay leaf, and you put it in water, bring it to the boil, then you simmer it, and it's beautiful. It is really beautiful. I first tasted it, when did I first taste it? In the early 20s. I was just gonna say, I'm not telling you how old I was. Several years ago, over 20 years ago, and a friend made it, and I was just like, because in his kitchen he had all these orange peels, and I was just like, said, oh, do you want a cup of herbal tea? So I was just like, oh, go on then. Then he made the tea, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what kind of potion is this? It really has a lovely taste, and they're all things that are good for you. The rosemary, the orange, the rind of the orange, you know, all the vitamins that you can get in there. The bay leaf was not one that he didn't put bay leaf in, it was just the orange and the rosemary. But because I wasn't feeling 100%, I thought, let me just dash in some bay leaf. And well, it wasn't a just let me just dash in some bay leaf, it was I'm feeling bay leaf. And I think you have to, it's one of those things, you have to go with, you know, sometimes you hear this still quiet voice, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a big kind of like, you know, I'm schizophrenic, I'm hearing things, but it's like, oh, why don't you put in some bay leaf? And normally I would just say, oh no, I can't be bothered right now, or, you know, it's a fleeting thought, and those are the thoughts that are really like, you know, your subconscious saying, guiding you, whatever you think. Sorry, it's just like, okay, come into the mosquito. It's just this one. It must be saying, listen, look, I've been here now, and I want something to drink. But last night I had to rub my chest with Vicks, and so I was just like, Vicks is quite surprisingly good. We grew up on Vicks. Anyway, so back into the Arts and Wellness Cafe. So this is a space where you come and you just, you know, enjoy, relax, be creative. And so I want to share with you am I going to share with you a book? I think I will. I'll share with you a art journal. Actually, no, we won't do the book. I'll share with you an art journal. I'll share with you what I'm working on at the moment, and but this is a slight distraction because what I'm working on needs to be on the computer, but I pulled these things out because I want to do something with the things that I've got, and I've been doing a lot of stitching, a lot of projects. I would say they're projects because they're individual pieces that need quite a few things done with them. They're not one big project, they're several projects. But sometimes I feel kind of like, not bored, but I feel that the piece that I'm working on, I'm not getting enough from. Like it's not, the stitches aren't small enough, or, you know, complex enough, and so having, you know, a couple of them going at the same time, then I can just jump from one to the other. And if I'm feeling more one, or like it depends where I am. So if I'm in the front room sitting down and just happen to be watching a bit of TV, then there are some that I can pull out because the stitches are quite large, and I don't have to. You know, you don't need like a table and a overhead light to be able to do these stitches. But some, you know, especially where there's beads concerned, and you have to, you know, be putting them together and arranging them. That's not something you want to be doing on your lap. So it's like, okay, you know. So we're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at what I'm doing. I'll show you a journal. A journal page, and yeah, we'll take it away from there. Right, so this was a prayer journal, an old one, and I found it in some of my papers, so I'm going to transfer it and create an art journal. I want to be able to do something with my stamps, so I've got some homemade stamps, and I want to create scenes from them. So this was speaking to me as the journal that it would be doing that in. So initially what I've done is glue the pages together, so I've halved it in size, and now I'm covering it with this. It's just it's actually newsprint, and you can get it on a roll after they've finished. After they've produced a certain amount of newspapers, they sell the rolls, the end bits. So I had done some batik, and this was what I used to mop up the wax, as you can see. So I'm using this to line the pages. I've done a few so far, but what I'm going to do is go through, do the whole thing, and at the front I was going to do like a little I had this, it's a little frame that I made, and I was going to put it on front, but when you turn over the pages and you want to do, say, that side, then it's like it's like that, so it's not really suitable. So I've taken it off, and I'm going with another idea, but I'm just playing at the moment, going through it, and we'll see what we come up with. I've scrunched up the papers a bit so that we've got a bit of texture here, and yeah, seeing how I get on. It was just something that I wanted to do, just to you know, you need those moments where you're just doing something kind of repetitive that you just need it to think. Hey, bam! So this is what, so you saw that video where I was working on it, and this is what I did, and I was just like, I was on a mission to finish it, and this is the finished bit, and the sun is streaming through now. But let me just show you what I've done. So this is the front, and I've I covered it initially in, I had this piece of paper, well, it's card that I had under some work that I had been using wax on. I had sort of fabric on top of here, and I was using wax, and then when I lifted it up I thought, oh, this is a really interesting image. And so what I did was add paint and just, you know, decorated it, and I'd put it to the side, not thought anything about it until I was coming to bring this together, because I wanted to use what I had to create. And I've got a bag, I have a bag of a bag of papers and things that sometimes it builds up, and it's just like, okay, let's see what we can make with this. Anyway, so stuck this on, had some buttons here at the top. These are my favorite color, this particular thing. So I've got some buttons here and here, and again, these were from like a charity shop. I had some brads, so I've had these brads for years, and it's just like, oh yes, I'm going to save them for when I've got that project. And it's just like, when is that project gonna come? So that project is this now. And some other little things that I had in my stash that it's just like, okay, let's use. Underneath this is a CD. So at one point I had wanted to make CD art journals, and they never materialized, but I had decorated a few. And then this is a piece of cardboard covered with canvas that I'd painted. Again, they're bits that were just on their own, and together, bringing them together, they make this journal what it is. Around the edges are these, they're glue dots. They're not glue dots. They're these give you the right term, they're by Tulip, beads in a bottle, self-rounding dimensional fabric paint. So yeah, you can use it on fabric, but I decided to use it on, this is cardboard. Yeah. Prior to attaching this card to the book, I had painted it in a deep green colour. Okay, so let's go into the book now. This is the first page. For most of the pages, as you would have seen, I was sticking this newsprint plain paper, and I've gone through the whole book and stuck them in, and I've just reinforced it with masking tape, so when I come now to either paint or whatever, then it's not going to seep through. On this first page I've just played with paint, and so that's one of the things that's going to happen. On the first page I've played with paint. I was going to, in this, I've cut out a hole because you know the Tetra Pak, if you use like milk or, you know, like almond milk, they have the little these things, yeah, the lids basically. So I was going to put it on here, but again, when I'd opened it out, it didn't lay flat, and it doesn't lay flat with this, so I could have used it, but I changed my mind, so I'm going to do something else with this. So I've just literally done, you know, add some colour. I was playing with colour and just laid this down on this page. I like this one, this art journal page. It says speak your truth, tell your story. And I was watching, there's an artist whose mother also is living with dementia, and she does a lot of projects with her mother, and she's produced a book on for carers, and I'll put a link in there. But I want this, that inspired me to do this page. And over the years I have shared, you know, doing an art project with the elderly with dementia, doing art with my mum, and my mum used to do a lot of art, but I don't know, over time you get, or I got, it was the guilt of, you know, leaving mum, and mum having to go into a nursing home, and then, you know, allowing yourself the time to breathe and come to terms with things. And so I think I have, and so I'm ready to speak my truth and tell the story, and tell mum's story, and show how, you know, mum is living with dementia, but she lived her best life. There was times that she was the most fun. She was just has such a wonderful sense of humour that we never saw before as kids. But when the dementia started coming on, mum's personality, aspects of mum's personality was just like, wow, she's so much fun to be with. Yeah, so this is a page that I did in here, and then I've just been playing with colour, just laying down colour. I wanted to use up loads of colour, so I thought, well, let me lay down some things first, and then, you know, I can come back to it. So I've got these pages. So should we play with this one? Should we just play here? I'm just going to do a quick something, and I'll use my charcoal pen. So, as we said, I've laid down colour, and sometimes what I like to do is see what kind of images I can see on the paper, and then just go with these images and see what kind of story they want to tell based on the other kind of surroundings that come with them as I'm creating. And not prepared because I haven't got any. Let's get my water here. And that's the great thing about creativity. You can, you know, and should allow yourself to play on a daily basis. So don't let a day go by without you doing something, even if it is like, oh, let me just get a page and start doing something on, or let me work on something. You know, it doesn't always have to. I mean, you might do art, you might create as your profession, like you might, you know, but it doesn't mean you can't have those times where you play as well. and I'm just going to go ahead and work on this page. Okay, so sometimes that's all you want to do. If you don't want to finish it, you just want to add that particular bit. Now, as I was going to, I found these. I was just about to finish. I was just about to leave it there, but I saw what I feel should be the sun behind her, and so just wanted to add that bit in. But sometimes this is all you want to do. You don't want to do any more, you don't want to go any further, and what I might do is off camera kind of add to this. That's what I was seeing, the light behind her. So the other thing I wanted to show you is some of the stitch projects that I've been doing, and I'd created a video which I'll share on its own as well, but I just wanted to also show you, if you haven't seen it, some of the stitch pieces that I'm doing. I've shared yesterday I shared the first part of it where, you know, it's in my artwork, my stitch pieces. I do them in phases, and it again depend on how I feel, and I probably do have to go through them and actually start finishing pieces, because it makes no sense, and it can be quite stressful having pieces that are just left unfinished. And so I'm thinking of I'm going to choose one out of the ones that you see today. I'm going to be choosing some to do some more work on, and yeah, see how it goes. But let's let's go and see some of those pieces and then we'll come back, shall we? And I'll think about the one. Ooh, actually I know which one I want to finish. I'm feeling it actually. Okay, so we're going to look at some of these stitch pieces and we'll look at the one that I want to continue working on. So I also have a box that is a collection of pieces that have gone through the machine stitch and they're now waiting to be hand stitched, and they vary in terms of the design. And what I like to do is sometimes I will just work on putting pieces of material together for the time when they're going to be stitched together. So these are African fabrics that I brought and put together, and you know, I mix the two, so hand painted fabric with African fabric, and then these have been machine stitched and now awaiting to be hand stitched. So this is a nice activity where you're again gathering the fabrics, putting them together, and that's all part of the meditative process. There is no it all has to be done now. You can do them in stages, and that's what I do. And I also bring in some of the other elements like the ribbons, and this one has had some beading on, but it's gone back in the to be hand stitched because there's other smaller stitches that I'd like to incorporate on here. And I've also added some sculptural elements, some metal that's been stitched, and that's again all part of the process, spending time finding the pieces that want to be together. And I don't force them together. I just allow them to sit for a while, and they almost find each other. You know, if you spend time allowing yourself to explore, then the pieces find each other, and then when you put them together, they just work. So the next stage for some of the pieces are to have additional stitching. This has been batikked, and then I've gone in and added additional stitching, and then the next stage for this piece would be to have beading added, and I'm exploring ribbons, different types of ribbons, and it's got to then have its backing. This is one that I've been working on as well, so I've added some additional hand stitching. I've gone in with lots of smaller stitching, and it's yeah, it's lovely to work on. So I don't restrict myself. I leave the needles in there so that I can just go in and start on this particular piece when I'm ready. Go with how I feel that I want to work on a piece, and I just allow myself to do that. So if I'm feeling I want to work with beads, or I want to work with a particular colour, then I would just go ahead. I've got the pieces, and I might then see a particular one right to the end. But if it's nearing like completion, like this one is, and I'm thinking, okay, it's got everything that I feel it needs to have, and actually, yeah, that's the way it should go. And all I've got to do now is these particular embellishments that I've put on is again to add them, to stitch them, and add some additional stitching up here, and then add a backing, and decide on maybe some sculptural elements that need to go on, or the wood that I may incorporate. Actually, that looks quite good. This is moringa wood, and I would have spent a session create designs on the moringa wood. So this particular piece was painted fabric, and I've spent time going in with more stitching, and the stitching process is a really calming, therapeutic process, and that's something that really, it's inspiring, because you can be thinking of so many things, working out, putting the world to rights in your mind. So here are some additional pieces. So I work in the smaller pieces. So this particular one looks like it's nearly finished, but it needs some, what I felt was coming from it, whilst it's quite busy, it needs some hanging beads here as well. So this is a larger piece that, again, is one that is nearing completion. So there's an amazing amount of detail on here that, and these were all individual pieces that were brought together. So there has to be some additional stitching around the edges, and then it's got to be placed on another piece. But yeah, I love the way they come together. So this is the piece you saw in one of the pieces you saw in the video. You saw some others, but yeah, this one, the orange, it was really speaking to me. So I'm thinking about what I want to do next to this piece. I want it to be finished, but do I want to add beads? And I found these beads. I've got some really lovely, they're small seed beads, but also I've got some seed beads, but I've also got these orange ones that I thought, oh, maybe I could use these, and there's some bigger ones. So yeah, I'm thinking of incorporating these somehow, somewhere on them. I'll see how I get on. But that's like a project for being here, as opposed to on your lap. And then I've got this material that I was thinking, oh, maybe when I'm ready to kind of do the backing and the kind of edging, that maybe that's the one that's used. I'm not sure. I really like it though. I've had it for years. I've used it on, what have I used it on? I think I did a chair upholstery project. But yeah, so I really was drawn to this piece, and it's got a variety of, so it's hand-dyed fabric, it's got painted fabric, we've got machine stitching, we've got hand stitching going on, all the different varieties of stitches here. And yeah, I really like the piece, and then it's going to possibly have some beading on there as well, so we'll see. Okay, so let's get back into the studio. Well, so lots going on there then. So yeah, looking at the piece that you just saw, and the pieces, you know, I mean, how do you work? How does that, you know, I think when you think about the word, Cole's got a really bad belly. I don't know whether you can see him. You can't see him there. He's just sitting right there. Right there. Anyway, and he's pooping. Anyway, so it's quite easy to be creative, to do something creative, and to not worry about how something's going to look. Not just go with how you're feeling, you know, what you feel like doing. And even with a simple art journal page where you can, you know, make the start of something. Now I'm always drawing figures, so it's just like, for me it's about, there's stories that need to be told, and the figures are the ones that are going to be bringing these stories out. And as I was talking about, you know, this artist that inspired me to share more about the things that I did with the arts and health and creativity and dementia, that this, as I was doing it, this was making me feel, you know, about the idea of telling your story, sharing your story. And, you know, as we share our stories, other people are blessed, other people are impacted, and you're changing lives, you know, however small you may think that the impact that you can make is, if any, you are making an impact, you are doing something that can touch the life of another. And I don't necessarily think about that so much, you know, I'm thinking about there's things I need to share. I need to share, not because I'm like, oh, hey, look at me, but it's that, you know, this means a lot to me, and I know that there's somebody else who may not have that voice of somebody saying, oh, look, you know, this is possible. And so when they see me, they think, oh, wow, yeah, you know, I can still do that. I can create, even though I'm a carer, I can create, I can do things, I can make art, I can share my story. And the stitch pieces, I'm just always eager and excited about anything to do with fabric now. It's just like, I was speaking to, connected with another artist, and she was just like, I'm kind of like in the, you know, I enjoy painting, but I love fabric. I love creating on fabric. I love painting fabric. I love doing different techniques on fabric, and everything that I can do more things on fabric than I can do on a canvas, because I can not only paint on a canvas and do mixed media. Well, actually, yeah, so you can do mixed media, but I can stitch on fabric, and, you know, do some wonderful, just do some wonderful things that I'm excited about. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to taking this to the next stage. We'll see how we get on, and I am feeling a bit more. Am I feeling a bit more stitching? I'm feeling some beading. I'll have to, you know, look through my beading collection, and that's always excites me to kind of like see, you know, okay, well, I've had these beads for years, but which beads now want to be part of this journey? And oh. You really don't want to do that again. Which beads want to be part of this journey and take it to the next level? So I'm excited for that, and excited, yeah, just to see how things, you know, I think going through some of the jewelry is because I haven't, I haven't looked through them for a while. So that'll be nice to kind of revisit some of these things and be inspired again. And yeah. So I'm excited for the things that are going to come out of all of the work that I'm doing in fabric, and eager to share. Always eager to share. So on that note, do stay in touch. Do let me know how you're getting on. And do let me know, you know, which aspect of what we have shared, me, myself, and I, that, you know, resonates with you. You know, what is it that you can, you know, think about, that you're going to get eager about, that you're excited about, that you want to dive into? Like, I really am. I've got boxes and boxes of jewelry, and sorry, I've got 4 of these. And each of them have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 16 boxes. It just looks like, of jewelry and beads and things like that. So yes, I am excited to get through them and share. And oh yeah, so you saw the journal, and we did a journal page. Yeah, so, you know, let me know how you're getting on, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. So take care. Remember, maybe even try some, you know, nice herbal teas. If you don't have the plants that you can go and harvest, or the herbs and things, you know, maybe experiment with a herbal tea blend that you've never had. You know, you might like it. And some of these brands do smaller packets or taster packets that you can try. So, and in my creative gardener, with my creative gardener hat on, that's something that I would like to explore. You know, looking at the blends of teas and the herbal remedies that, you know, we can have, but that's for another day. So take care for now, and I will see you again soon.